Hey, crypto heads, it's the Goose with the Cryptic Paranormal Show. How are you all doing tonight? It's good to be here. Cannot wait to have Kristie on. Kristie London is our special guest tonight. We're going to get questioning her really shortly, but first let's go around the horn, see how everybody's doing. D-Nice, looks like you just got back from an amazing vacation. How are you doing?
I did. It was super impromptu as well, which was nice. We just...
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Those
my
are the
husband's
best.
family has a lake house out in Michigan. Lincoln, what are you doing here?
Oh,
already?
hey, we got another special guest coming in.
What?
Oh, buddy.
Is it bedtime already?
Is it bedtime? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Well, good night then.
say good night to everybody.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, buddy.
Nice.
Our little mascot.
Aw. What a sweetie.
We need Lincoln stickers next.
Yeah, right?
Good night, Lincoln.
Yep. That'd be so funny. That'd be
I
perfect.
know.
He's on
Don't
every
tempt
Thursday
me with a
night.
good time. I'll do it.
Aw.
All right, so back to the vacation.
Yeah, it was nice. They just invited us last week to go out for the holiday weekend, and
Yeah.
so we spent 5 days up at the lake house at Michigan, and it was
Oh,
fantastic.
Awesome.
It rained most of the time, but my kids
And you were
don't
showing me
care.
the pictures of the lake house, which look
Yeah.
freaking phenomenal.
It's
That is-
gorgeous. Yeah, it was a good time. I love
Good.
anytime I could be close to water. It makes my soul happy, and
Yep.
I'm rejuvenated.
Good.
You live a block away from the water.
I'm 5 minutes away.
So how you doing, Heisenberg? What's new? Anything?
Yeah.
No? All right.
Same
So good
same old,
story.
same old, man. Same old, same old.
Work.
Yeah.
So I got to bring Tim's message back up. I tune
Do
in
we
to Goose
though?
is pissing. Really.
We have to bring his message up.
That's how we're going to start the night off.
We're just going to jump right in and throw you in the fire, Kristie. This is how it goes on this show.
He's used to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
right? Have you seen my partner? I mean, come on.
But it's actually good timing that Tim chimed in because he's starting to already announce all the guests for next year's Potographs Parafest.
He is. He
And
is.
you're one of them. So
I
it's like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm super
We're gonna have to have you
excited.
on again next year though to make it a little bit more fresh. But
I'm here. Hey, let's do it. That's awesome.
Well-
Yeah, I'm super excited to go back. That was such
Yeah.
a fun time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and something special is happening this year on Friday
Mhm.
night. It looks like there's going to be a gallery reading.
There is. He's doing it a little differently. So last year he had Deb Johnson DeRoos and Dina Stricker and myself, and we all did. Oh, there's my partner. Oh boy. So we all did like separate galleries, and this year he is having us do one big giant gallery, and it's actually included in the price of the event.
Yeah.
So it's not a separate fee,
Yeah.
So everybody go because it's for a good cause, and
Yeah.
it's a fundraiser, and it's awesome. If you see the
Yeah.
animals in that shelter, they're so cute.
I know.
Right.
Oh my god,
We were trying to head to the shelter last year, but we just couldn't get moving early enough to get there in time.
Well,
Maybe
there
this
also
year.
was the snowstorm. Like,
I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
say
snowstorm
it's good
that
that you
hit,
got
yeah.
there when you did. Yeah.
We literally got there
That was
right
cool.
as it started coming down. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
raining pretty bad on the way
Yeah.
there, but
I got to drive through it.
yeah,
you did.
did.
It was fun.
Hey, well, we were literally in the shelter, and we were there for at least an hour or so, and we were leaving, and they said like around 3:00, right? It was going to be
Yeah.
like starting to come. Not fingers crossed, man, because I come from New York. That's a long drive.
Right. yeah,
But,
you're up by
yeah.
Buffalo area.
Yeah, I live in the Falls,
Yeah.
so Buffalo.
Well, you should be all used to it then. You could probably drive up there no problem.
Oh,
Right.
what do they say? Hold my beer.
Yeah.
In my
Love
case,
it.
it would be hold my coffee. I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long drive.
You're like,
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't bad though. It wasn't bad. But yeah, the snow started coming down. It was crazy because it started nice and light. And we're like, oh, look, it's just starting. I think we all stood there in the parking lot for about 10 minutes just chatting before we all headed back to the hotel as it's all coming down. Like, oh, look how pretty it is. It's like, holy crap, we gotta go. Like it's really coming in. And as fast as it happened, it was just nuts. So and then
it happened quick.
yeah. It was right after I crossed the bridge or crossed under a tunnel in Toledo, and it just switched.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just terrible all the way up from there.
And of course, it was our area. It was right where we were at.
Yeah.
Right.
All the surrounding areas within like half an hour or so, once you got out of our area, were okay. It was like a normal, crappy winter weather. No, we were in the hub of it. It was like the nucleus. It was great.
We're getting
I loved it once I got there.
Yeah.
Being at the hotel and having everyone's phones go off at the same time with the weather alert.
So funny.
And it literally says there's a travel ban in Ann Arbor. Like nowhere else. It wasn't like these counties. It was like just where we were.
Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Well, the special guests, their flights were getting all screwed up. Dustin had to drive all the way from Milwaukee or Wisconsin or something?
Yeah, because he got rerouted to Milwaukee, I think, and then had to drive. And he did. He drove, and so did Johnny Zaffis.
Yeah.
They
still
both
showed up, and that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
On them for doing that.
Middle of the night, they got there.
I would have never survived. I know I would have.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys.
Right. I really wanted to come, but
no, I would cry. I just wouldn't survive.
Oh.
I have faith
That's
in
real
you.
dedication. You just died trying, literally.
Oh my god. Yeah, but it was great.
Tim did say Michigan promised no snow next year. No blizzard.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Good luck with that.
I don't trust Michigan as far as I can throw it.
I was going to say, we're from Ohio. You think we trust Michigan?
No.
Yeah, that's St. Buffalo. We know better. Yeah. No.
Hey, what's up, Ed? How are you? Pezzy! Hello!
Hi! Oh.
So let's get into the meat of this deal. What we usually ask is like, what's your origin story? How did you start this whole journey? And if it's a long story, we got plenty of time.
It's fine.
No one's ever asked me in that way before. What's my origin story? What's my orange story?
I'm a comic book nerd, so there's always a story.
So once upon a time when I was 5, you don't want to hear that story, but it actually does go back that far, to be honest with you. I can remember the first time we lived, the house that my parents owned that we lived in when I was born. We moved it out of when I was about almost 4. So I can remember, though, being like 2-3 years old, don't ask me how, climbing into my sister's crib. And the house we were in was really small. And the room that she had did not have a window, right? So it was just a small room, no window. Yeah. And I remember I'd go in, I'd have my like bowl of cereal, and I'd climb in her. And I would sit there and see things in the room. So there was no reflection. It's not like the sun was coming in the window. It was nothing like that. And just always seeing like the way I physically see things, the air changes. So it almost looks like you're looking through the fumes of like a grill, where it's all like thick and plasmic and wavy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's physically changing where I can tangibly probably touch it, but to me that was always normal, because that's what I always saw. Like I could look around and the room would be clear, and then there was this spot, and then I would always be drawn, like I'd stare, and it was just nuts. And so I was really, really little when it really started, and I just never understood it, and I just kind of adapted and adjusted as I got older.
And what happened to make you realize that that's not what everybody sees?
Yeah.
Well, it took a lot of feeling weird and people saying things, and then my not wanting to say, oh, I'm different. Oh, what do you mean? Like, because sometimes when you'd say things like that, even if it had nothing to do with any of this kind of stuff, kids would still be cruel or make fun or think you're,
Right.
whatever. So I just kind of kept it to myself and paid attention, oh, it doesn't happen for other people. But quite honestly, it didn't really click with me until I was probably in middle school, like really and truly like, hey, it's getting hammered in here. Like, okay, this really doesn't happen to other people. This is not normal to see clear. Oh, there's this mush stuff over here in the corner. Like, what is that? Or I would see, I got really, really sick when I was about 10 years old, with something that really most kids died from because it really just killed your immune system. It was called Stevens-Johnson's, and it kind of reared its ugly head back in the early 2000s when my older two were little. So it kind of made me nervous. So basically, after that, it really shut my body down in so many ways. Like I had damage to my eyes and scars on my body because there's these horrible blisters you get, and it was just ridiculous. But my eyes, the damage that was done to my eyes and the things that I went through that way, I started seeing splotches of color then. And I had been seeing them before, but they weren't as pronounced. So to talk about them as a young child, I don't, because it's not really what stood out to me. But after that, at first we thought it was my eyes, but I would still like be pulled in that direction to stare, and I would feel the draw, right? So again, not really noticing and realizing until I started watching TV, because was it like the early 90s or the late 80s where this kind of stuff kind of started coming out, and Sylvia Brown was on Montel, and that's when I was in high school. That's when I really was able to connect finally in some tangible way, we'll say, like with what was really going on, because I had not really ever been exposed to any of that, with anything else or anybody else. But so I will see splotches of color as well. So it's usually purple or green, or it'll be like a black or a white, and the black's more like a shadow, not like you think the black like and stuff, but just like a shadow kind of. And I don't know why my screen keeps dimming on me. Like, this doesn't usually happen, but
mine on our end. Do the colors like mean anything?
I found out later that the colors do mean something. And I didn't realize until I truly finished the awakening process. And I really, like, when the door swung open about 10 years ago, like once and for all, and I was made to really acknowledge this and own this. The purple and the green are actually very powerful, deep spiritual colors. They represent like a real, I hate to say it, like spiritual authority, because I don't mean it in an egotistical kind of way, but like you have that ability to really go to that deeper place that really allows you to do, like, I know I don't do anything close to what I'm not capable of anything close to what I've been told I'm capable of. I don't put the work in. I don't like everyone's like, no, if you just start working on yourself and you make it, I'm like, okay, that's great. I got 2 down, 1 to go. When she's in college, then I'll, lucky I got this far. But that's what, if you look it up, it's, and colors can have all sorts of meanings. But in that particular case, I kind of got some validation in different ways over the years about that. So that was pretty cool, because basically I felt like I was being watched over. Like they were using those colors to show me, hey, don't worry, we've got you. It was like more of a divine presence, we'll say. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So Peggy wants to know if you're able to hear spirits as well.
Peggy. So that's always, questions like that are always tricky, right? Because in our third eye, we can see and hear everything, right? So up here, I can hear their voice. I can see them. So physically, like I was describing with everything else, it's very rare that I hear things like that. I don't really hear, like, as if somebody was next to me talking to me. Have I? Yes. Can I? Clearly when they want me to, yes, but not on a regular basis. And unfortunately, the older I'm getting now, I'm noticing my hearing is changing. So who the hell else is going to have it? I'm like, background noise, could you quiet that down? Because I can't focus right here. So
it's a different kind of hearing. So
right. But yes, I can hear people's voices. So I don't know if you've ever seen me work. Sometimes I will describe, a gravelly voice or a man's, deep voice, or, whatever the case is. So I can, but it's all in here. It's in on that next level.
Yeah.
We don't want to like interrupt people, so we just kind
Yeah.
of like
Michael do the same thing. It's okay. It's okay because Michael do it at the I'll be like in a serious thought, or I'll be in the middle of a
Right.
story, and all of a sudden he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hello. Oh,
Hey,
hello." And I'm
dude.
looking at like, "What are you doing?" So no, we just do it quietly. We're like,
Yeah.
"Hey there." Makes it
So I feel like we kind of jumped ahead on your origin story, and I feel bad because I was asking questions.
That's okay. I hate talking about myself, so I prefer the questions. It's fine.
We'd like to know. I mean, it's always interesting to see, what transpires and what makes people go from that, am I crazy, to holy shit, I'm onto something. You know what I mean? Like that transition is always so interesting in people's stories. So.
Well, and it's funny because I always tell people, I was that kid that I always felt that I was different, and I knew there was more to me. Yeah, he does. He does this to me all the time. He's like, "Ooh, sorry." He gets that smile, his ears turn red, and he like goes and does something else. But so now, see, what was I saying? What the heck?
You were always
your transition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, I was that kid that sat in the middle of the living room and, would try to guess the cards in the deck of cards.
Oh, cool.
I maybe got one or two right. Like, people do, it's not like that. But then again, and if I were to try to do it now, I'd probably get as many wrong, but like, I always felt like I knew there was something more to me. I just didn't get it, although it was already happening. So all the things that happened to me, like seeing those things, it was normal for me. It was already it's all I knew. So I didn't know that I was different in certain ways either. Right. And then I think instinctively as you are a child and you start to grow, instinctively we just we pay attention. And so if we notice that our story is different, we just don't share it. Or, and we can just go along, and it's not even like we're being fake about things. We go along with the things that do make sense to us or that we can relate to, right? And it's still genuine because, we can do that, but we just don't give the rest of our story, so to speak. So, but yeah, no, I definitely was that kid that always thought, I can do this. And then it wouldn't happen. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't. Just, yeah.
I'm always curious too, to like, how did your family, did they help you with it? Did they accept it? Was it a little rough? I mean, you don't have to get into detail, but
oh no, there's really not much to tell if you want the honest to God truth. I don't have one of those stories where my family was either all into it and already open to it, and I had this huge support system, or the opposite, because I grew up with both sides of my family right around me, my whole life, and many generations too. And my mom is Italian, so that family is just huge, right? And we always saw everybody all the time, like for years, once a weekend, someone's birthday, a picnic, a holiday, something. Yeah. It was great. It was some of my best memories, the safety net. So to see all those people and be around them all the time, talking to them, extra things going on during the week, whatever the case was. Do you know that nobody in my family, even extended cousins and things, ever said anything? But they all saw me as a child, right? And I always joke because after I came out with this and I started doing this publicly, I did have some family members that were kind of closer to me and come out and say, hey, well, guess what? And you probably are thinking, well, how did you not know she was or he was? And how did they not know you were? You just, everyone's on their own journey. And when you talk to these people, some of them were kind of like still figuring it out themselves, even though they were already adults. And others, they wanted to keep it quiet because they didn't know how it was going to happen or how it would be received. But I looked at some of them, I'm like, where the hell were all you people for the 30 years of my life that you watched me struggle with this? I'm like, what? Right. All my tantrums, all my outbursts, all my awkwardness, all my whatever, you learn to put on a good show. And, it is what it is. And it was funny because I kind of feel like I inspired some of them to be a little more open about it as well, or at least accept it. Even my grandmother said to me one time, she's still around, I think you might get your gifts from me. And I looked at her and I said, Grandma, I think you're right. I agree. Yeah. I do. It does run on the side of the family. And so it's
but
pretty
also
cool.
That would have been nice to know years ago.
It really would have.
Through it.
But then you think about it, they were still on their journeys because they were young adults. They weren't even like, my family is young too. Like my mom's youngest brother is only 5 years older than me. So he and I actually grew up more like cousins, not uncle and niece. So there's just all these different ages where, they were all still trying to figure it out, and then having their own families on top of it, forget noticing anything about me, but or thinking that it would be different. And the way I see it is, if they were supposed to help me, they would have been pointed in my direction. So their journey just wasn't that, and that's okay, because I needed to go through what I went through and to become who I am, because that's how I got here. So and I'm okay with that.
And it's hard too, because even I feel like when people don't understand something, they just kind of ignore it. And it's not even just paranormal stuff. If somebody doesn't understand why you're with your significant other, if somebody doesn't understand why you chose the job that you chose, or why you live where you live, or why you use herbal medicine instead of like pharmaceuticals, then they just don't talk about it. Like they just ignore it. Like it'll go away. Just don't talk about it.
I feel like sometimes it's almost like politics. People don't want to talk about it because they're afraid, they don't want hurt feelings or bad blood, right? They just kind of respect the fact that they're not going to go there. So you kind of already know. But my family was very supportive, I have to say. Even some of the people who clearly were kind of not unsure, which really there was very, very few. Nobody gave me a hard time. Everybody was very supportive.
That's good.
And I don't think any of them were surprised, right? When I finally did come out and say, hey, I'm doing this and this is how I am. None of them were surprised. And even growing up, my mom and I always clashed and butted heads. But this was the one thing that when I would say to her, I can't sleep, or Mom, I'm seeing these colors in the corner of my room. I don't know what's going on, because I would feel this connection of energy and this draw. But there was physically with my eyes, I'm seeing color. Physically with my body, I'm feeling something. But my brain was not making the connection to help me to help me rationalize anything. So that disconnect was what always threw me or scared me or confused me. That's the one thing. If I said to her, I'm, seeing something, or I feel like something's there, or I don't know what's going on, she always took me seriously. And my mom always took me seriously anyway, but to not think I was being dramatic, or not to think, kids are kids, right? So, but she really, even though she had no idea how to help me, and we talked about it years later, she's like, I really didn't know what to do. But what she didn't realize was she did the best thing she possibly could have, regardless of anything else. She listened and she believed me. And that's huge, because for parents who don't believe their kids when their kids are going through this, we're all human beings, guys. I don't care what your belief system is. I don't care what your background is. I am a Roman Catholic, Italian, Irish family. Come on, right?
Yeah.
We're humans. We're capable of things that we don't want to talk about. We're capable of things that are bigger than what we can even fathom. It is what it is, right? So the fact that she believed me, all parents really need. Oh yeah, my mom's all over it. My mom is very empathic herself, and a lot of people in my family, I have an uncle and a cousin who are chiropractors, and cousins and aunts and uncles, and who have been going to homeopathic doctors in Canada for years, long before I was even known in the States. And it's been great. My aunt, actually, she's always paid very close attention to her body because she has a lot of allergies, and she actually, when I first got sick with that. I don't know if they call it a disease or syndrome. They kind of went back and forth in the 80s when I had it. But yeah, because it was not very well known. But she's the one, I went to a local hospital first, and I was there for a week, and I was getting sicker. And my aunt's the one who talked to her homeopathic doctor and did research and said, this is what she has. You need to get her to Children's now. Because if not, I was so sick by the time I got to Children's that they had to put me in the infectious diseases floor, not because I was going to contaminate. I was not infectious, but if I caught something, it could have killed me because I had no immune system. So I had to be isolated and protected for my own protection, not everybody else's. And so even people who came to visit me had to gown up, glove up, just to come in the room.
Wow.
So it was crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, I come from a family that's very open. And actually my dad's mom on the other side of the family, she's the one I'd call whenever I was afraid. And she was a hardcore Roman Catholic believer. Her faith was unsurpassed. I'm telling you, she was the best lady in the world. And she I miss her dearly. She died when I was a senior. So through middle school, through high school, if when you get to stay home alone and you're at that age, I'd be home, and back in the days where we had the cordless phones, right, guys?
Yeah.
We had them with us all the time, the cordless phone. So I would always have it with me, because there would be times where all of a sudden I'd be in a room, whether it's the living room, my bedroom, or wherever, and all of a sudden there's something in the room with me. And again, I can't rationalize it because I can't make that connection. And so I would call her. It was my instinct to call her. And so even if she was in bed, she went to bed at 9:00 every night. My grandpa stayed up until 11 to watch the news and went to bed. If I called when she was in bed, he would still go give her the phone, and she would get up and she would stay on the phone with me until someone came home. So she was my go-to. When she died, I was lost because I didn't know what I was going to do. I just sat there and I just was like, who do I call? Like, who? 30 years later, almost 30 years later, and it still makes me emotional because I miss her that much.
Yeah.
But the first time I remember the first time that I was sitting on the couch, I was doing homework, and I forget the rest of the family was out somewhere. And something happened. Something was in the room with me all of a sudden again, and I was not having it. And I froze on the couch, and I just like burst into tears, and I was like, Grandma, I need you so bad. And what do I do?
Right.
And it was like out of nowhere. It's like she came up from behind me and gave me this big hug. And I felt that feeling until someone came home, I think like an hour later.
Night, Jeff.
And I was
Wow.
Oh, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Well, it's good because we hear a lot of stories completely opposite. So
Yeah, I know.
just hiding in fear. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a medium, but I had kind of the same thing when I was starting to witness things at my home, which got me into this whole thing. And
Right.
it's good to be able to be open and not be judged.
I'm very blessed. I have a very, very supportive and loving family. I really do.
Yeah.
I judge you every day, Ray.
I know you do. We know you do.
Not nice. She's a sweet lady. I don't mess with her.
Aw. Hey.
You, on the other
Afraid
hand,
of you. He's afraid of you.
As he probably should be, right, Dee?
Yeah.
too much like my wife.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get D unit out
So,
or Deegan.
Vegan.
what did I tell you about that?
Who's vegan?
We did there is a couple of questions in the
Okay.
mix.
So Anne had actually a good question. She's one of our Potograph family members. We love you and miss you, by the way, Anne.
Yes,
Mhm.
she's so cool. I got to meet her. Yeah.
She wants to know, do you remember any of your readings, or once you give them, is it like all gone? Is it done?
So, sometimes, not usually. And actually, because Mike just sent me something about a reading I did with our guest, our last guest that we had.
Right.
I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. Again, part of it's probably age. No, it's always been like that. I kind of go into a zone, and sometimes I will remember because I'm probably supposed to remember. Other times somebody may tell me something, like I'll get messages days, weeks, months, years later from someone going, oh my God, you're not going to believe it, right? They're in my contacts, which means they were a client. Okay, so I definitely know the person. I just don't, right? But to remember what I said to them even a week ago is probably not going to happen. But if they say something to me that feels familiar, I'll at least know, okay, yes, by context and the connection I'm making, okay, I kind of do remember talking about that, even if I don't remember all of it. But after a while, no, it goes away, which is why, like when I do reading shows on our show, I tell people, if you need clarification, if you're not sure, you need to get a hold of me within the next couple of days. And I make notes, because otherwise, once it's gone, it's gone. But I usually don't remember. Maybe sometimes a feeling of familiarity, but that's about it. Yeah.
You should just have people record it. And then
They do.
if they have questions, just go back to the recording, because that's all I got. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, my clients are welcome to do that. What'd you say?
So check the recording.
Yeah,
That's right. Well, and our show is recorded too, so that's nice. We can tell people to go back, and my clients are welcome to record private sessions, not group parties, not events, but private sessions they can record if they want. So, yeah. Yes.
Peggy had a question.
Yeah. Do you have kids, or do they have gifts?
I do, and they do. So they love when I talk about this. I do. I have 3 kids. I'm actually a new grandma. And I
Oh,
love her to
Congratulations.
pieces. Thank you. Yes. Her name is Ellie, and she is 8 months old. I can't believe it already. So I have 3 kids. I have a 25-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 16-year-old. So, yeah, my son is hardcore like his mom, empath, medium, all the way.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter is extremely gifted. She doesn't like to talk about it. So we leave that alone. But she experiences things differently. So like going back to the question before, asking if I could hear, she does. And that used to freak her out. And we didn't realize that it was happening with her at first. So we would be gone and she'd be home and she'd be upstairs. And she would hear someone run across the living room floor and jump onto my husband's recliner chair and it would rock back and forth.
wow.
So stuff like that would happen to both of my older kids. My youngest is definitely gifted. She's, I feel like, more of a healer, but she absolutely is intuitive, like you wouldn't believe. So they're all very strong in their own right. And it's been happening since they were little. And the cool thing is, it's so funny because when Billy and Abby were little, I was a young mom. I had them in my early 20s. When they were growing up, I was not there yet. Right. So I was going on just life experience. So when, they shared a room for a while after Brianna was born because, surprise. So, you gotta make do with what you got. So, they shared a room for a while and, Billy especially would be like, no, Mom, they come and I believe them. Figures would come, they would approach them. So instinctively, because I am not creative. So you knew this came from the divine side, right? I would put up this monster shield. And in my head and in my mind, I was, encapsulating their room and sealing their doorway off with white light. And that just came from my faith because I used to be very big with my church too. I love my faith, just don't do it the way they want me to because I don't connect with it that way. But, so it's like I relied on all of that instinctively and intuitively without even realizing it. Like I would say, okay, we're putting up the monster shield. And I would put my arms up like this and I would seal it off because they were upstairs and there was a half wall. So there was not, so I would just seal it off and that was it. And then later mentoring with my mentors that I worked with, what are you taught? Oh, you encapsulate and you surround and bubble things in the white light. Hey, go figure. So you don't even realize you're doing what you're doing when you're doing it, right? So we all got it. And it's very natural and instinctive. And so it's pretty cool. I didn't even realize I was doing it. So,
So our buddy Jeff has been asking if you've ever heard of the Bel Air House.
I've heard of it. Before I go, when are you going? That's funny. I've heard of it. I don't know.
He's got to go.
He used to be, he's signing off for the night, but he just wanted to see if you've ever.
Well, how rude! What the heck? No, I'm kidding. He's been coming on. I've heard of it. I don't know the story of it. I don't know.
Like the history or anything.
Yeah, and that's okay because I prefer not to know about things. I would like to get there someday, so I prefer not to. But no. So I hope you have a great experience. I hope it's a cool time for you and you have fun and it's eventful. Just be safe.
Yeah.
He used to be the groundkeeper there. That's what he's.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
used to be,
okay. Very cool. Oh, there we go. All right.
Yep.
Love it. I've seen the pictures. It looks beautiful. I would love to get in there. Yeah. I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The whole area is kind of creepy. So driving around, it's like you got that weird, like this is definitely something going on here feeling, and then you pull up to the house and it's like hit you like a sack of bricks. But it was, it was an interesting night.
Okay.
Good night. I won't tell you anything. That's right. There's all kinds of weird things happening that night. A lot of people weren't able to get there, and it's like it was a strange night. His wife did come, and she ended up hurting herself. I mean, it was just a weird day for everyone.
I couldn't go with my back. I pulled my back out.
Yeah.
Pulled your back out?
Yeah. Then she actually I had fractured ribs, I guess, apparently. But she let's get this right. I didn't just pull my back out. I had 3. No. No, I'm just joking. So she was taking the dog out, and the dog pulled, and she fell and hurt her knee. So then, I was like, one of us still has to go, and I can't. So she went.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you guys are
there's a
lucky.
Yeah.
So I missed out
I
on
really have to get there.
Speaking of bubbles of white light, that's what they need at their house.
Yeah.
We have cats. I tell Lincoln that the cats make sure there's no monsters in the house.
Oh, that's nice.
They guard at night, and Lola guards during the day.
That's a good
Aw,
idea.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's so the base of the stairs, you know, in the house. That corner I used to use. Now, okay, again, in my defense, before I realized, you know, what I was capable of, what everything truly was, whatever the case is, it was my husband's house. So when we moved in, from the second that I had ever stepped foot in that house, I picked out 2 spots, which I didn't identify as portals back then, but 2 spots that I could never not stare at no matter where I was in the house. Or like if I was in a certain spot and I was in that, you know, they were in my line of vision, I could never not stare at them. So I just knew they were energy centers, we'll say. But the one was unfortunately at the base of the stairs where I used to put my kids in timeout.
Oh, geez.
Oh no.
Just stare at them.
You know, I'm like, whatever, right? So not realizing it and then talking about it with them years later, you know, Abby, you're like, yeah, Mom, why do you think we were so freaked out?
Oh my
Staring at
They
God.
would never stay still. They would never put their face in the corner. I'm like, what is your problem? It's a timeout. Will you just do it?
Right.
Come to find out later. So I, you know, in later years, I kept those portals closed and under control. Unfortunately, my poor kids were subjected to whatever. I mean, it's not like I had them across, you know, the West Wing or something, and they were by themselves. But yeah,
Right.
oh yeah.
Metaphysically torturing your children. Kristie.
Right?
I mean, you know what? Obviously, it wasn't powerful enough for them to stop doing bad things.
I was
to
going to say,
time out.
and it clearly is still not as bad as changing the Wi-Fi password. Okay, so come on.
Ours is still the X5216 that is
Oh.
like that comes with it. We've never changed it. If somebody could guess that, that's great.
Yeah.
It's so annoying though. Do you have it memorized? Because you know,
No, I have to take a picture of it.
I was going to say,
If my kids annoy me, I just unplug it and hide the cord.
perfect.
Yeah, but then they annoy me more.
That's true. And my wife can't take it either because she needs it for work every day and she works
I
from
was going
home.
to say that's why you changed it, and you just only
Yeah.
YouTube know what it is. And-
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
call. My daughter's pretty smart. She'll hack.
Oh, heck.
Yeah, my
Both
son.
of them are
could
capable of that.
Yeah, my son built like his own little computer program system type thing, and
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's very, very,
Nice.
very creative, naturally creative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, musically talented. Oh my gosh, yeah, he has his gifts in that way are just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
What if
awesome.
Piper and Eliza had an underground paranormal team that you just didn't know about?
In another life, did you say?
They'd be perfect. They'd be well balanced because Eliza's like full on believer and Piper's the debunker. She's the level headed, like, you know, she wants to make sure everything is normal, not paranormal. You know, I think she believes, but I think she wants to stay away from it.
That's how Abby is.
She came to Madison with us and she was just kind of like following us around. And my daughter Eliza and her son were actually doing the investigating. It was kind of fun to watch them.
Cool.
And we
Yeah,
got
it was
some
cute.
Eliza and her son?
My son.
Denise's son. Sorry,
Funny, but I
Eliza.
got that.
I got it too, but I just couldn't help it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we got
Brianna,
some pretty interesting activities. She actually had
Did you?
whatever the entity she was talking to decided to shut the door. She was trying to get him to shut the door in the room they were in, but he shut the door on me and the other room. I turn around and the door just starts closing on me, and I'm like, "Look, I've been standing here, I haven't touched it."
Right
My
after
daughter
the kid said, "Can you close the closet door?"
I was like,
Oh,
"That's
how
so weird."
funny. They had
Yeah.
a plan.
Yeah. It was cool. And
Wow.
my son was like 10 at the time, and he was like Mom, I have to know what's happening. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I know that we were the only ones in that room. He's like, that K2 meter was going off. And he's like, I have to know what's going on. And I was like, welcome to being a paranormal investigator. You'll be asking the same question for the next 40 years if you do it for 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't try to shake it up. Just go with the flow.
Right.
I know Brianna's my youngest, she's very into it. So I've taken her over the last few years on a couple of investigations.
Yeah.
She was so upset because whenever I used to help with tours at the Statler in Buffalo, she would, can I go? No, you're too young. Because she just turned 16. So figure she was, 12 and whatever back then. But can I please go? No, someday when you're old enough, I will take you. Don't worry.
I got the same thing with Eliza.
And now we can't go.
She's
like,
chomping at the
you should have
bit.
taken me back then. Sorry.
Can we go to Madison? Can we go to Madison? Like, no, I can't even go to Madison. Why would I? I'm like trying to find
maybe
time.
you'll get in quicker if she asks.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Who's gonna say no to a cute face and a little kid? I mean, or younger. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a teenager now.
I've only taken my kids like during the day, and I do my version of protection before we go in, and you know what I mean. But it was so cute. One of my favorites. We had like a photographer was coming, but we were like 45 minutes early. Like they called and said they were going to be late, whatever. So we had like 45 minutes. So the kids are like, "Can we go in the building and take K2s?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's go." And it was cute because my youngest was like holding it, and he's like, "If there's any kids here, do you want to play a game?" And the K2s, which you probably don't even notice, have numbers on them. And he was like, "If you get it to this light, then that's 250 points because it says 250 underneath it."
Oh,
he was like, "If you get it to this one, it's 500 points. Let's see how many points you can get." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's such a different way to look at it."
Seriously. Oh,
I've never heard
that.
an adult do that.
No, me either. That's
I
cool. I don't have a lot of luck
cute,
with those. I don't use those. I really don't use a lot of equipment. Like I have an SLS, I have a K2. Even recordings and EVPs. Like for me, it's just more flashlight sessions. I have a lot of luck with flashlight sessions, though. Yes. Yeah. Yep. That seems to work real well for me for some reason.
I love having all these guests on and hearing all their different methods and like how they differ or compare.
Yeah.
But I started off. I started off. I'm like, I wanted all the tech. I wanted all the gear. I wanted all these cameras. We were running security cameras all over the place, but it took so much fun out of it because like the first hour and a half, 2 hours, all you're doing is running wire and then you got somebody not being able to investigate because you're too busy watching everybody else investigate.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. Like too much time. So it's like if I can't carry it in my pocket, and I'm not talking about a fishing vest, which I did have when I first started.
I believe it.
You did.
I believe it. Mike has a lot of stuff similar to that too. I look and go, "Oh, that's not for me."
You're lucky if I even remember my voice recorder with me because it's usually just me and my flashlight, and I'm just walking around. No, I do have a definite ghost box that I've been using a lot, the spirit box that I love using. I love it. It works so well, and it says hello to me every time I turn it on. It's like, "Hey, Goose."
Really?
I can't look, whoever you are. I'm it's grandpa, but but yeah, that's usually. I mean, that's all I've been using. But I actually just like feeling out a building and observing.
Yeah.
And seeing if you can get interaction that way.
I mean, not all of us are psychic though. We need the equipment to do an investigation.
But your body is still going to tell you a lot, even if you don't feel like you're connected with that, right? You're still going to sense things. You're still going to. So, for example, have you ever, just gone to a party or gone to an event or a function or something, right? And you're going to walk in the door and you're going to go to the right because you want to go this way. Someone's going to be there. Something's going to be in that room. And you walk in and you start going like this and you're like, nope. And you go to the left instead. That is your intuition. That is your energy field reading energy before you even get there. So we're all doing it without realizing it or putting a label on it because we're human. We're all capable of it. So our bodies really are the best. If you start feeling funky in the head, or if you're emotional, or you're having thoughts that you don't normally have, and I don't mean being taken over. I just mean like little things going on subtly.
I've had that happen a lot of times. I'll just have a random thought like, oh, they don't like that person because he looks like somebody who used to work here. Like, why would I think about that? That makes no, that's not like a normal thing. Like,
that's total
I'm just
intuition.
randomly thinking of,
Right.
you know. So I do have things like that happen, but I'm not like the kind of person that can walk into a room and see everyone who's in there and, you know, get messages for family members and all that stuff. But
you never know. You know, people that I mentor and I work with will come in and be like, yeah, so I just want to, you know, I want to figure out what my gifts are and what they mean and how I can use them. I'll never be like you, but I just want to figure out what it's like for me. And I look at them and go, like, do I not look normal to you? like don't put me up here because
you have a superpower. You're a hero.
Exactly. No, I'm not though. That's the thing. I'm like, in my head, I'm going, okay, I threw a load of laundry in before I left the house today. I probably yelled at one of my kids on the way out the door. I'm probably frustrated with my husband for some reason or another, right? And I'm going to go grocery shopping after your session's over. So don't put me up here because I'm not up here. The only reason you think I'm up here is because right now I've gotten my stuff together and figured it out. But if you're always learning, you're always learning. You're always listen. When's enough? What? What was he responding to there?
I have no idea. I don't know.
So,
but one is enough.
But one is enough. I can only imagine. But you know, it's true though, because people don't realize once you start learning yourself and you get there, then you're going to realize you're right here with me. It's about it's about those of us who are already there, whatever that is really, helping other people to get to there, so we can all be doing what we're supposed to be doing together. Oh, so he's being brave right now because he's an hour and a half for me because we don't live by each other. But tomorrow, my dear Michael, he's going to be stuck with me for about 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours. And he's driving 7 hours with me in a car. So keep talking. Keep talking, my friend.
You might want to be casually late, dude.
No, don't be casually late.
So what do you suggest for people though? Because like how do you test it? You know what I mean? Like if I have a thought, it's not like I could just go to a computer and Google, is this what's happening in this room? Or is this who's in this room with me? You know what I mean? Like, you just have to hang out with somebody who is already developed their skills and just talk out loud.
You know, it's different for everybody, but mine, you talk out loud. I'm so glad you said that because I make my students do that. I make my mentees, whatever you want to call them, do that because it makes it real. It forces us to own it. Right. And that's why we don't. And they look at me sometimes and go, I have to say this out loud. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, yeah. I don't know about you, but when I did my hair this morning, I had a full-blown conversation with myself out loud in the mirror while I did my hair. And they'll be like, oh my God, I do talk to myself during the day. There you go. But when you want to bring attention to it, it just like makes us all weird about it, and it doesn't have to be weird. So
my wife is constantly looking over at me like, are you talking to yourself? I'm like, yeah, I am. And plus I'm, if I'm not in a patient's home, like setting up their oxygen or whatever, I'm driving.
Oh.
And I told my wife I should have a video camera on me. I'd be like the TikTok god because of the things that come out of my mouth when I'm driving.
Imagine.
Talking, having full conversations as two different people to myself. And I'm like, what the hell was happening?
Well, there's a lot of times where we're on an investigation and I will think something or feel something or whatever. And then something will come across whatever device and it'll whatever, validate whatever I was feeling, or somebody will say something like, oh, there's a lady in here and she feels this, and that's what I was just feeling. That's what I mean, like talk out loud, because a lot of times I just keep all that stuff inside. I'm just like, whatever, I'll make a mental note of it. But
well, honestly, we all kind of, especially those of us who are more naturally in tune or connect, just aware, we do figure things out on our own, right? Trial and error, process of elimination, just learning however we need to, right? Living daily life, adapting, adjusting, whatever. But there does come a point when I feel that it's responsible. We if we're going to take on this responsibility, because that's really what it is, then you have to be responsible about it, because there are rights and wrongs. There are do's and don'ts. There is protection. You need to understand what you're truly dealing with that is out there. And I'll give you an example. And this is not the first time I've been attacked without being anywhere near somebody. When I was going to deal with something, or I was dealing with something that was very nasty. Mike and I were on a video call. And like I said, he and I literally live like an hour and a half apart from each other. We're on video with somebody else who's like 45 minutes from me. Right? Because we're having issues in the house. As I'm literally sitting here at my table alone, Bree is not home that night. And I literally was just kind of sitting like this, right? And out of nowhere, I feel like a weird sensation, like right here on my arm, on my forearm. Yeah. I look down, I had scratch marks, and I have the pictures on my phone. Oh, so wow. I'm looking down, and now I'm like, shit, sorry, ticker. Mike has a ticker from my mouth, but I'm like, okay, because now it's burning and now it's weird. I've never been scratched like that before, ever. I've been pushed downstairs. I have been attacked in other ways without being any, like I have had things come after me to prevent me from helping. So that happened. And I'm taking here, I'm like with my phone, and I'm taking pictures of my arm, and I'm sending them to Mike going, it got to me. This place is locked down like a fortress. Yeah, if it got to me, that means I can't do it. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was crazy. It was crazy. And then I took pictures of it as it slowly faded over like a half an hour. It was nuts. Wow. The way it felt. It was weird. It was like, it was 3, I don't know. I can even show you. Let me see.
And you think it was whatever was at the house that the person was dealing with?
Wow.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, let me get you on there. Oh, hold on. Push the wrong button. Hold on. Sorry.
No problem.
This is Gaze's first day on the show.
God damn.
Can you see those?
I was doing this. Yeah, I could see them.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look like much, because at first I even questioned, I'm like, see that? And see how it's all red and prickly around it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I literally was just sitting in this very spot the way that I was sitting now, and my arm was just leaning, home alone. Nobody was here. And they're talking. He's like leading the way, doing his debunking thing. And I'm like, what the hell? And I looked, and all of a sudden these marks appeared. And I went, whoa. Because I keep this place controlled. Excuse me, it's my home. There are boundaries, there are rules. And so there are people really don't understand what's out there. So to answer your question, I'd say you always follow your gut. I don't care if you've been in a situation 25 times and it's always been the same. If you go into a situation and it feels the same, but now you feel like something's just off. You can't explain it. It doesn't make sense. You're not even sure that that's what you're picking up on or feeling. As soon as there's something off in any way, shape, or form, stop, get away, do what you have to do, because there's something not right about that situation. Yeah. And like with you were getting Denise validation, probably, like that's how your spirit guides and your team of divine, guides and whatnot will help you to kind of realize, your gifts and validate you. Like you said, well, I was just thinking this, and then I got this validation. Because they're letting you know, hey, yes, you can do this, or yes, you are correct, because they're trying to help you build, self-esteem, self-acceptance. That is huge. So that's the platform we have to use in order to really build our gifts, right? So that's really, I suggest people, we've all been doing it, but if you're really going to dive into it, or you really have to, if the door's really swinging open for you, then you need to be responsible, because this is a responsibility. I don't get to decide sometimes what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. If I'm told I have to go approach somebody and give a message, I have to go approach somebody and give a message. And I'm not necessarily talking about just spirit asking me to do it. Like if I'm feeling it from my guides, like, hey, no, this needs to get done. It doesn't matter how awkward it's going to be for me. It doesn't matter how wacky I think I'm going to come off to somebody, even if it's going to upset them. I have to plant that seed, because maybe that's going to start something for them that's going to be positive later, right? So it's not always about what we think or what we choose. We really do have a responsibility here. We have a job to do. So
Yeah.
And that's always been one of my questions too. Have you just like, I don't know, you're grocery shopping and all of a sudden, you see somebody in the distance, like I need to talk to them, or somebody's trying to get some. Do you do that? I mean, do you just?
Oh yeah, my kids call them my Long Island medium moments.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter will be like, yeah, she left me in a diner one time. And I'm like, listen, I didn't leave you in a diner. Number one, you were like 14 or 15 years old. You were fine. Number two, I went across the room to somebody else to find them at their table. I didn't abandon you. I didn't leave you in the woods like my partner did with me when I went bigfooting with him and left me as bait. I just went and talked to somebody at a different table. Oh yeah, that happened too. I had to get that dig in there. So,
I understand.
no. I do.
Yeah. Wow, it's like you guys are connected because you put that up
I
right
feel
when
like-
you started that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's uncanny. It's disgusting.
What kind of reactions do you? I mean, are people usually open to that, or are they like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah, I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed on that level. People seem to be very receptive to me, even if I catch them off guard or they're not sure. They'll at least let me know, they'll at least give me the opportunity to tell them. I've had once or twice somebody say, no, I don't want it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's because it's not my decision.
Right.
If they say no, they call the shots, it's over. But I did what I was supposed to do to at least offer it,
Right.
and to at least give them the opportunity to receive what they needed to receive. And I really, I've been very lucky and very blessed too, that I don't run into a lot of people who have ever given me a hard time about being who I am or doing what I do, period. Religion, nothing. Like I did a singles event one time years ago for Town Square Media in Buffalo. And it was like a Valentine's Day, like singles bash thing. So they hired me to give private readings, like short little private readings. This thing blew up. Like I had no idea. Like I did not expect. My friend, thank God my friend Michelle came with me to work my table for me, because I went and did this little thing on the stage with one of the DJs that was, opening the show. I came back. There was a line of I think I had 300 people try to sign up.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like,
Wow.
This is like a 4-hour event. There's no way. I couldn't
God.
believe it. Right. So I make my own goodie bags, and I, had the table set up, and Michelle had all my stuff out real nice and whatever. And usually I put little Kleenex packs and chocolate in my bags with my information. So at one point I'm coming back to the table and she says, we have a little bit of a problem. I said, why? Now Michelle doesn't take any crap. She'll be nice, but if you're not, if you're pushing it, she's going to let you know. Right. Which is great. So she's like, this guy keeps coming up to the table and taking 4 and 5 bags or small handfuls of your brochures, which I make and print myself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that alone is going to piss me off, because you know how many hours it takes and all the ink and paper.
Yeah.
So she goes, and he's, and every so often he comes back and takes more, right? So she points him out. There's this older dude. Oh, he was very awkward, very whatever. Across the room, he sees us talking to security.
Yeah.
He's now trying to look for oh, who, me? No, he's doing one of these things, right?
Right.
Security goes over and talks to him and says, don't go by there again. Do not. Because even Michelle said, don't come back to this table again.
Yeah.
Security said, I don't want to see you by there again. You go nowhere near this woman or her table or her stuff. So here, a little while later, I'm behind the partition again doing some readings, and Michelle comes back there and goes, okay, before the next one comes back, I just want to let you know, she puts down this pile of empty goodie bags and says, he had the nerve to come up to the table and said, here, I just want to let you know, I found these, so I thought you might want them back. Here you go. What? What? She goes, I wanted to bitch slap him so far across the room I couldn't even. Well, number one, I would have loved to see that. Unfortunately, I'm glad you didn't do that. But I was like, what? Seriously? But that's really the only time I've ever had anybody try to, and that was passive, right? I've had friends who have been outwardly chastised. People don't care. They've been awful.
Right.
And I don't have anyone that really, I have one person in my life that's, works in the same place I do, who's a little uncomfortable because of her religion. It's all good.
Right.
Unfortunately, once she found out who I was and what I did,
Yeah.
she definitely did change towards me. She still is professional when we work together and stuff, but you know, there's a definite difference there. And it's just sad, you know, but it is what it is. And I don't blame people for having their beliefs or feeling the way they do, you know, but I'm not like coming after them. You know, I'm still a regular person that goes to work every day and does what I do. And, you know,
that witch with her black magic is coming towards you.
right. No, it's not me. You're safe. I promise. Yeah.
So you're also a Reiki master.
Oh man, you said that worse than Mike usually says it.
Reiki?
We're always busting Mike's chops because he can't pronounce words correctly, and he's a Reiki master too, and he can't say it.
Reiki.
It's called Reiki.
Reiki.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just admit something right now. To be honest with you guys, I have no idea what Reiki is.
Okay.
That's
okay,
I was gonna have her
people
explain
don't.
it to us. I know what it is, sort of, like on a very basic level.
It's
Okay,
magic.
so Reiki is one of many modalities of healing, right? So it is positive universal energy. Now, I am certified and practice the traditional, and I'm going to butcher this name because I can never say it. Usu Roiho, the founder, the founder of this. So basically, Japanese tradition goes way back. And the cool thing about practicing the traditional is that I have a lineage. So I know exactly who mastered under everybody, all the way going back to she herself. You know, I'm not saying the name again. So yeah. So she brought it here in like the 20s. And it's positive universal energy, Reiki, right? Life force energy. And so what you're doing is when you're trained, you're actually trained to give light touch. Just like that. You're not manipulating muscle. You're not doing anything but just lightly touching. But a lot of us don't even need to touch. I have only maybe a handful of times touched anybody. I'm always working in your auric field.
Yeah.
And you're a conduit. I always tell people we're not like John Coffey from the Green Mile. We're not taking on somebody's something and have to expel it later.
Yeah.
We literally open ourselves up, open the session. We use the symbols. We invite it to flow through us, which is actually still beneficial for us as well. And we let it flow through and we give it to the person. Now, the cool thing about Reiki is that we don't have to be anywhere near. You can give it long distance. You can give it from across the room. Because it's all about the intention. Just like with mediumship, it's all about the intention. You know, it's just what you're putting into it and you're calling on. And the funny thing is, you don't have to be gifted, right, to do it. Anyone can do it. Yeah. I was the only medium in my level 1 and level 2 classes. The majority of the people were, and it was a smaller class, but the majority of them were nurses and like spa owner, you know, like salons or massage parlors, people who wanted to add on to their businesses. So they were learning it themselves and then bringing people on to do it. So Reiki works with your body to help promote healing and promote rest, but we're not allowed to promote that as healing power in and of itself. But I absolutely believe it does have its own power of positivity. We all know that already, right? Without putting a label on it. So, you know, it's really amazing. It helps you to, you know, and you come and you lay on a table or you can sit, but you know, if you come to an actual session, most of us have like a massage table. Yeah. You lay on the table, create a very, you know, calm environment, and you lay down and you just relax and we just work on you head to toe, go around. There are advanced techniques you can use, you know, some stones, light, different things like that. I've also, you know, taken a course for that. But it's wonderful. You kind of go into like a meditative state. Some people fall asleep. Sometimes we chat the whole time, but you're still always giving it because that's the one cool thing about Reiki. If you're giving it, they're receiving it. And you don't have to feel anything. But a lot of people will feel like the warmth, even though I'm not touching them. And I actually have a spirit guide who helps me do it. Because I've had people actually say to me, oh, I loved when you were by my feet not long after you started. It felt so good. And I look at them and go, I was at your head. And I was at your head for like 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes of the session. And they're like, oh my God, I felt someone touching me. And I know it's Crystal, my guide, who was working with me. So it's really cool. But, you know, you can do it just to relax. You can do it. It's actually been proven, though, to help with chronic pain, cancer, the effects of radiation. Roswell here in Buffalo actually has their own program. I think it's the Healing Hands. And they practice the westernized version. There's a westernized version. And they offer it because they know how wonderful it is. If nothing else,
Yeah.
it just helps people relax and rest.
Right.
But yeah, they can feel the effects in the moment. They can not feel anything at all, but just receive it. But their body's still doing what it needs to with it. And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome. I love receiving it. I love giving
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm. It's one thing I miss because I don't have an office anymore. During COVID,
Oh, okay.
my lease was up, so I didn't.
Right.
So now I just don't. I haven't done it, but I can do it for people if they ask me, or I have done video sessions.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool, and I do it much like I would in my office. We chat first,
Okay.
and then I have you set up like a space ahead of time, quiet space, and then I literally sit in my office. I have a home office, and I close my eyes and I literally put myself in front of you in my old office, like as if you would come to see me, and I work on you that way. And then after a certain amount of time, we meet back on video chat and we talk about it just like we would in person. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes.
So, Mike, it's like, when Daniel Russo gets hurt in the tournament and Mr. Miyagi does this thing.
Absolutely.
That.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
That's
You got
I
it.
understand. I understand now.
Yes. It's kind of like, for those of us who, I know, you just had to put it in his terms. See, I just talked for 10 minutes and that's all you had to say. Yeah. That's funny.
Well, it took that whole talk for me to make the correlation. So
It was. I've had it done once. It was Kathy Santori did it, and
oh, okay.
it was not even 2 minutes in, and I was like bawling my eyes out.
Oh yes, that's the other thing. You can have an emotional release.
Yeah.
You have. Oh yeah, people go through a lot of different experiences with
Well,
that.
it was.
Absolutely.
She was like working like by my back, and she said something about all this tension, and she said you have to stop forgiving people and letting them walk all over you, even if you do it because of a big reason or a noble reason. And she said, even if that person lost a baby. And I was like, how the fuck are you getting that? And it's not something that I talk about, but I do have someone in my life that lost a baby, and I let that person walk all over me because I always felt bad. You know what I mean? It was like, because our kids were 2 months apart. So I always had that like survivor guilt. And so I would just let him walk all over me. And I never talk about it ever. And she just is doing magic. She's just like this, like over my back. And you pick up on all of that. And it was 2 minutes and I was bawling my eyes out. And I was like, what did you do to me?
People will see like, if they have their eyes closed, they'll see colors. They'll have things start happening, and they'll open their eyes like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like there's just stuff happening that I don't even know. And I'm like, just let it go, because that's what this is all about. It's like we're detoxing you emotionally, spiritually, mentally. So that's awesome. People have cried.
Yeah.
People have, they have just opened up. They leave feeling like $1 million. You can be drained. That's normal. Usually I tell people you need to drink a lot of antioxidants and water for a couple days afterwards, because you will feel it after. That's the cool thing about having a medium do it, though, because you can get messages during that session. You're still going into that place. You're still going into that space, right? And so your loved ones can show up. And we will read you, even if we're not talking to somebody in spirit. We can read and pick up on all of that.
Like
so
it went from back pain, like she's sensing something, tension, I guess, not like pain even.
Sure.
But then the fact that it went to that, I was like, how? Like, seriously, it has to be magic, because how do you not even touch somebody, not even know anything about it, and that's what you come up with? It was just such a wild experience.
It's your energy field, because it's your energy field. She's reading you, and your body tells a lie. I told you, our bodies are our best instruments and our best pieces of equipment. They really are. Yeah, it's crazy, the stuff. I mean, I can pick up on, at one time, I had a client come in for a session, and I was right around his bladder, the bladder and the prostate. And I was like, I just don't like this. No, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose people. Disclaimer right now. But when you tend to hover, you tend to get a feeling. And, it would be no different than if I just called him up and said, hey, I think, I get this feeling you should just go check it out. Didn't he end up having a mesh with his mesh insert implanted for his bladder to lift his bladder because he had a UTI and didn't know it? And he had been having issues. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff. And then we pick up on things. Sometimes I'll say, oh, your left elbow must be bothering you. And they're like, no, not at all. But I'm picking up on, like, Reiki wants to go there, so there must be a reason.
Yeah.
We may never know, so
Right.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Huh. I was actually just going to ask you that. Have you ever picked up or isolated any problems with anybody? But maybe I psychically sent that to you.
You did. Hey, don't knock that, because I can do that. Oh, funny story. I freaked my son out the one time. It was awesome. We just talked about this the other day. I think he was, oh my God, young teenager. And I was in, like, the dining room. Hi. I was putting something in the coat closet, and we lived in a Cape, smaller house. So it was just open. And so my husband and the girls were in the living room, and Billy was in the living room with them, but he had his back to all of us because he was at this computer, playing on the computer. And I was just cleaning up, and I remember I reached into the coat closet to hang something up, and all of a sudden I felt this connection to him. And inside my head, I heard something say, call his name. Like, don't say it, but just ask him if he can hear you. And I did. And I felt this intense connection I'd never felt with him before. It was so weird. And so I did. I sat there. I didn't even look at him. I just closed my eyes, and Billy, can you hear me? Billy, this is Mom. Like, let me know that you can hear me. Yeah. I waited a second, and all of a sudden you see Billy go like this. Now he whips around like that. Girl's like, what's your problem? Right. And he's like, then he looks up at me, and he sees me in the dining room, and the color from his face just drained. It was freaking awesome. And I am standing there like, no freaking way. Like he goes, did you just? No, you didn't. He goes, you didn't just say my name. I said, and I'm now starting to laugh, right? And he's like, get out of my head. He's freaking out. Greg's like, what is going on? What am I missing? The girls are picking up on it. My older daughter's laughing her butt off, going, oh my God,
that's hilarious.
Did something. And we just talked about that. It was hysterical. So I did. Never did it again. But it was so funny. I couldn't believe it. Crazy. We are capable of so much that we will never understand. Don't ever underestimate yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it shows itself in such weird little ways, because, like, even things with, like, I'll be driving home, like, on a Friday night, and it's usually like eat out night. Like, we'll order something out, and I'm like, I'm really dying for, like, so just say I want some fried chicken, and I'll literally be, I don't know how many times I've done this. I'll literally be texting my wife, and, like, before I can even finish it, ding. She's like, how about fried chicken tonight? I'm like, yes.
And then you're like, was I picking up on her, or did I put that
right?
Universe. But why did you say fried chicken? Why did you just use that example?
Because I kind of want fried chicken.
So did you know that? And I only know this randomly because I heard it on the radio on the way to work. Today is National Fried Chicken Day.
Oh.
No, I had no idea.
Maybe that's
you were picking up on that intuitively, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Does everything have a day now?
Yes.
Apparently, yeah. I know. I
so July 15th is known as National Goose Day. Just so
okay.
Ooh.
You should make it a
my
day
birthday.
that changes every year, and make it always on a Tuesday.
There you go.
Always on a Tuesday.
Yeah. The third
Make it after
Tuesday
the
of every July.
first full moon of the summer solstice.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
Hey, thank you, Brent. I appreciate that, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's wild. That happens all the time. Like, I'll be thinking about somebody, I'll just be like, man, I haven't heard from that person in a while. Man, I should really reach out to that person.
Yeah.
And it'll be like months and months that I haven't talked to them. And then all of a sudden I'll get a message from them. And I'm like, okay, did I put it out to the universe? Like, hey, I need to talk to them, so they picked up on it? Or did I know that they were going to message me? And so my brain was like preparing me.
Right.
That's crazy. That actually just happened to me a couple weeks ago. Like right before 2 weeks before Father's Day. I'm like, I was talking with my buddies, and I didn't say anything, but two of my buddies went in on a hunting cabin in Pennsylvania, actually Kane, Pennsylvania, like right in the Alleghenies, and we used to go up there. We used to have what we called the annual sausage fest. You can understand what that means.
Yeah.
But it was just like we just go there and we just drink and like relive old times. Like there was nothing but drinking and eating the whole time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was actually the wives who started calling it Sausage Fest, so we just named it that. We actually made T-shirts for it every year. Like every year we had a different shirt. It was freaking awesome.
I love it.
Because actually the guy who designed our shirts every year. He's the guy who
very cool.
did the logo.
I love it.
I was just thinking, I'm like, man, I really could go for just like a weekend with the guys at the cabin. And literally like the next day, my buddy Eric is like, hey buddy, we're going to the cabin on Father's Day. I'm like, that's so weird.
What?
I was just thinking that, but unfortunately it's Father's Day weekend and I already had plans of like, we had FCI Con that weekend.
Yeah.
And then I had a ghost hunt right after. And then I'm like, I got to get home on Sunday morning for my kids. So I'm like, oh man, that's just weird though. But we had made plans. We're going to hopefully go in sometime in like early September. So
to Allegheny in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Allegheny stretches, like that's not far from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. You're going to be right here almost.
Yeah. And Kane is actually really close to the New York border, if I remember correctly.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, Mike would know for sure all about the logistics and details of.
He probably knows that's a really good bigfooting area. See, actually, my friend they went up there because they own it, so they go up there all the time and they have access to it. And he actually sent me recording. They were just hanging out in the cabin one night, and all of a sudden, it's like something, or a bunch of things were throwing stones at the roof. Because they have, it's a tin roof. They use the metal roofing. It was just like, ding, ding. Like, dude, you got to hear this. And it's like, ding, 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 ding. And then he like went outside and they couldn't see anything. It would just stop. And then he went back inside. It would start all over again. And then in the background, you hear a whoo, like a cry. He's like, dude, there's something out here. You got.
You know what the funny part of that story is that they keep going back.
Well, the cabin.
Well, I'm thinking it's like you guys always talk about how camping in the cabin's great. You got Bigfoot throwing shit at you, man.
That's true, but you're in the cabin.
Oh yes, Amy Bula. Yeah, she goes there a lot.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to her
quite a bit.
She does love that area. It's very thick. I mean, it's really awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Have you been to Wildwood Sanitarium up here in Salamanca?
Yes.
No, not yet. She has.
You need to. Seriously, up there it could be ghost Bigfoot. It could be who knows. It could be anything. But you definitely, if you come, you should. Like, we should do something in Wildwood. I love.
That'd be awesome.
In Lori, oh my God, they're awesome. And Dale, they're such good people.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, and it's not far from there. It's not too far.
We're really close friends with Lori and Brooke and everybody up there. I just have not been able to make it up there. But Dee, you had a pretty decent time up there, didn't you?
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's been a few years, I think.
Yeah.
But it's only like 2.5 hours from here. I mean, from Madison. I mean, it's we might be in Ohio and they're in New York, but it's like such a short drive. It's shorter for me to go there than it is to go to Fairfield.
So where are you guys located?
Well, I'm in Madison. They're further south in Ohio.
Yeah, we're down by we're like in the Akron area.
Akron. Oh, are you? Because Mike and that road trip I was just talking about at the beginning of the show. Yeah, we're heading down to Circleville. And then we're going to be in Middletown.
Yeah.
Right? So we're meeting up with another paranormal team that we've been trying to get together with to do some investigation. So we're actually going to the Greg Kreitz Octagon House.
I was just there a couple weekends ago.
I thought I saw that on Facebook. Yeah. So Tommy Gill, we're going to meet up with Tommy Gill and his crew and finally meet him in person. Yeah.
When I walked into there, I'm like, this is such it's not a huge place. It's literally just an octagon. Like there's the main hallway, you walk to the big staircase and it goes around like it's an octagon. And I'm like, this is so crazy. I mean, it's just like, it's such an, it looks spooky.
Yeah.
But it was such an unassuming place. Like you didn't I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'll warn you, there's neighbors that are kind of loud. They play some loud music and they do a lot of dirt biking. But that went away about 10 o'clock. which is
Oh,
that's kind of when you really start getting into it, you know.
Right.
yeah. Well,
But,
well, you know what? Actually, I'm just doing a quick walkthrough of that.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be doing that during the day, and then we're driving about an hour and 45 minutes to Middletown, right? Is that what it is? I have it written down here somewhere. Because we're going to go do another investigation. I don't know the name of it, but it's an old abandoned school or shut down school.
That's Middle Point. Middle Point.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to go there.
Yeah.
So that I'm really looking forward to that. I want to get back and do Circleville, but it just didn't work out. It just worked out. We're going to go do this other thing instead. But yeah, so we're going to cover a lot of ground in 48 hours, and
you'll have to message me. You'll have to message me what you get from your walkthrough there.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what you pick up on.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Yeah,
Middle Point's wild too.
Really?
Another like unassuming place.
As soon as he posted or showed us the picture of it, I was like, yeah, I think Mike even was like, yeah, that's going to be a good one. And I just got this feeling. I just cannot wait to get in there.
It was a good one. We did a fundraiser event there. So we had to, run the groups and stuff. So we didn't get to do like a real investigation.
Right.
But it was pretty wild.
He's really pushed his luck here.
Dude. You better bring some good snacks for that ride, man.
Yeah.
He's so brave, but he's so far away.
Yeah.
We usually are.
Right?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
yeah, that's a cool place though.
Oh, good.
I haven't been to the Octagon House. But...
No. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm excited for both. I just wish we could do it make it 3-day trip, instead of because we'll be back home. We're leaving tomorrow evening and we'll be back home by Sunday evening. So it's gonna be actually less than 72 hours. Yeah, it's gonna be 2 days. So
wow.
It's gonna be crazy.
A lot.
It's fun. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's gonna be investigate, sleep, go home, sleep, go home.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
it'll be cool. I mean, you don't have to do investigations at nighttime,
Right. No, you don't. No.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool.
Yeah.
The most active time I ever had at Prospect Place was I was just going there and I talked to the owner during the day. He had a lunch for me and a couple of other people that I was friends with, and we just sat there and he got to soak in the place, and we were hearing talking going on. There's nobody else there besides us, and walking, and it was insane. Yeah, I actually walk in the room and I'm looking at George Adams, a portrait of George Adams' wife. I think her name was Mary. I can't remember correctly, but I'm just sitting there looking at it, and my friend Julie was standing next to me, and I'm just looking at it, and I felt like somebody came up and did one of those things where they throw the knee in the back of your knee and you go like that. What the hell?
Yeah.
It didn't hurt, but it threw me off balance. I'm like, what the hell?
Stop looking at my wife.
Right? Yeah, maybe that was it. Who knows? So yeah, and that was during the day. We've been there at night and it was active too, but when you're physically touched, if something like that happens in the middle of the day, I tell people all the time, you don't have to do it in the dark.
We're going live? Oh, the car ride. I was going to say.
Oh.
Yeah, and don't let him fool you, because when we drove to Michigan for MaparaCon a few years ago, it was fine. Except for, you can never ever trust me to read a map, or I openly admit that, and he knows that. Oh my God, you guys. So we went in the middle of the night. We could not go through Canada because the border was so close.
Yeah. So
he actually picked me up for that one. So he drove to Niagara Falls to get me, and we went over the border this way, right? So we got to a certain point where it's I don't know, 11, 12, right? We were planning on going halfway or so, stopping for the night, and then heading out for the next morning to get there and do the weekend. So Kristie, Mike says, okay, I think I got about another hour or so in me, but that's it. Then I'm going to have to crash. Okay, cool. He's like, all right. So he gives me the instructions because I'm that person. And he says, all right, look on the map, Google it, and just hit the area and it'll come up. It'll show you the hotels around, whatever. So I get the distance on the Google map, right? Or on the map. So I'm looking and I was like, oh, this looks like about halfway. So I clicked on that, right? And that part of the It's just this little blue line from this point to this point. Like, yeah, here you go. So the map enlarges and shows me all the hotels. I find this cool hotel. It was cheap enough. It was nice. It was great, right? So I'm like, okay, here, I booked it. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, where is it? So I pull it up and I map quested 2.5 hours.
No.
Oh,
He was
man.
like, what the hell? I felt so bad, but it was so funny. I'm like, well, number one, you trusted me to do that.
Right.
Right.
You probably should have pulled
That's
over and
bad
did it
on
yourself.
you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have to tell you, and then I can't cancel it because I'm going to get charged because we're supposed to be here in a couple hours.
Right.
Oh my, he was so mad. No, we gotta get out, walk around. I gotta stretch. I'm like, I know. I'm sorry.
Right.
Get over it. You'll be fine. We'll get there. I'll stay awake. I was fine. I never fell asleep in the car. I was falling asleep. He's like, you're gonna stay awake. I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay. It did. So we ended up being only an hour away from the
Well, there
event,
you
which
go.
we're
That's
just
not
really
too bad.
good.
Yeah.
No, because
Yeah.
then we were able just to get ready for the event just before we left. So instead of having to go there, get the hotel there, get ready, and then
Right.
go, we literally just got ready and went right there and then
Yeah,
checked
see,
in
it
later.
worked
So it
out.
did work out well. See, I
Right.
always know what I'm doing. I just
Yeah.
Sure. You still
You're
know you're
thinking
doing
ahead.
it.
so yeah.
That's funny.
It's always fun. It's always an adventure.
That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
Were you going to ask Chris's question? Have you been to Waverly?
I have not. There are so many places that I've not gone just because, kids and whatnot. But now that 2 of them are up and grown, and I only have one, I'm starting to travel like that more. So
Right.
Yeah.
this year's a little calmer because my oldest daughter is getting married in the fall. So we have like bridal
wow.
showers and other things
Yeah.
going on. So yeah. So next year, hopefully it'll be full steam ahead with some of these trips and
Right.
be able to get there. But that is one that I really want to get to. There's a bunch.
Chris, I can tell you
There's
from experience, I've been there twice. Don't let them front load you with their tour. I mean, you can listen to them. They do give some history, but
Okay.
they tell a lot of like local legends and stuff like that just,
Oh,
listen to the history part. And the stories are fun, but don't base your investigation off that.
Your
That's
entire
Okay.
what I'll do. Yeah.
see, and I don't like to do a lot of the public tours. If I'm
Right.
not there and I don't feel the want or need to really investigate
Yeah.
it, public tours are fun, right? And I
Right.
just kind of, but yeah, I prefer not to do those if I really want to get in and do my own
Yeah.
because I don't want to know anything about anything if I'm going somewhere or
Right.
as little as possible. I'm not going to remember everything and, things are going to come up anyway, but yeah, as little as possible is always because it just validates what I'm going to validate, or what I'm going to bring up. So it's just as authentic as possible, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. If I want to like the history, I try to like kind of delve into it before I go there. That way we have like optimum time of exploring the building and kind of like
Right.
feeling it out and seeing which direction we want to go.
Exactly. Mike always usually handles that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
that's like
walk
his-
in.
He's like real quiet about it, and then kind of like you validate it as you guys go along.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah, my list of places I want to go to just grows every time. Like,
Yeah.
it's so cool that there's a lot more locations coming on the map now.
Mhm.
There really are. I really want to get to the Conjuring House. I know everybody wants to get there, but knowing Andrea Perrin, she's a nice friend, and you know what? I just want to see
Yeah.
where
You
she.
absolutely adore her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a wonderful person, and
Mhm.
and just I adore her, and I want to be a part of what she went through, I guess you could say, and to hear her talk about the house and the things that actually, the way things really were,
Yeah.
it gives you an appreciation,
Thank
especially
you.
for what we do and how we do it, because it's not
Right.
all like the movie shows.
Right.
So, I really want to get there, and I do want to see what would happen at the house. I do. I'm very curious, to experience those things. But just it's like another connection to her,
Yeah.
which
Right.
would be
Yeah.
awesome. So.
I don't watch scary movies, so I haven't seen it, but the commercials were enough to freak me out. But
What?
we had Andrea
All
on
of
the
these
show.
two. They don't like scary movies.
Yeah, we don't watch scary movies.
I don't even watch the commercials.
Here, ghosty. Horror movie? Heck no.
There's no
Yeah.
music in ghost hunting.
No, I can't. But yeah, we had her on the
Oh,
show,
wow.
and it was just like the way she talks about the house makes it sound like it was like a fairy tale, like it was just
Yeah.
magical all the time, and
Like it had
it's
more
just so wild.
amazing, like just amazing moments than it did the scary stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so many amazing, like crazy experiences that made him feel like it was more like home than it was
Right.
the hell house that
Yeah.
the movie portrays.
And it's just so
Seriously.
funny. Like, remember she's laughing about the time that the receiver for the phone like came
Yeah.
off the wall and flew across the room.
Oh.
Like she was like, it was so funny. I'm like, that's not funny. That's not funny.
And I'm sure back then it wasn't funny either. It's probably,
Right.
I think, a lot of being able to, but you know,
Yeah,
I
in
mean,
hindsight.
she's so spiritually connected and just so in tune with herself and all the things that she can do, you know, that I think it's nice that she can have that different perspective,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, especially like I said, in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to have her on the show and kind of delve more into her connection with extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
She
Mhm.
does a lot about that
She
too, which
does.
I've never really gone down that rabbit hole with her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She and I have just
Listen.
talked, and she's talked to me about stuff like that, and yeah, you know, being able to ask her some questions, just chatting with her
Yeah.
on the phone one day, it was just so nice. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
just kind of explained more about that. And when we first met her in Michigan for the Paracon, she did go outside and do whatever she
Yeah.
does, but we were doing something else, and it was
Mhm.
like 9:00, and we were already
Yeah.
like gonna be. Oh, I think I was helping Tim shot with his table 3
Yeah.
class, so I had to be
Okay.
somewhere I couldn't get out of to go see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I would have loved to see her do that for sure.
Yeah, when I first met her in person at it was the Old Mill
Mhm.
Parafest, I think back in 2018. She did something like she did a lecture, but then later on, like while
Yeah.
other things were going on, she did like an outside walk with everybody, and they kind of worked on I think she was working on like collective consciousness and like trying to focus their energy to the sky, and like it's like eyes to the sky, you know, and just
Yeah.
everybody's out there looking and just trying to like concentrate all their energy to see if they could connect with
Mhm.
something.
There is something to be said. I don't care, you know, with the collective energy, it doesn't matter if it's with the extraterrestrials, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, it's just so cool how when you have a group of people who are in sync and who can come together like that
Yeah.
and send off that kind of energy with you know, like intention, that is the most amazing thing in the world. I've
That's
done
what
it
I'm
a few
saying.
times.
Like every week we sign off the show kind of jokingly by saying don't be an asshole. And really there's a lot of truth to it. You know, whenever people ask us about it, we say it all the time, like how different would the world be if everybody just stopped being assholes?
Right.
Like if everybody just focused on just being a good person. And
Yep.
you know, gosh, I can't even imagine.
Benefit of the doubt, you know?
Yeah.
Being a little more open-minded, you know, and just, yeah.
We just
Yeah,
have
I
so
agree 100%.
We did. I have to tell you this story though. I had just watched something about what is the name of it? I always forget. Something about of the third kind or whatever.
Close Encounters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had just watched something about that, and I was talking to my 9-year-old about it, and we were like coming in from the car, and so we were like, let's try it. You know, apparently you can just both think of the same thing and point to an area.
That's what we were
and
just
like
talking
a
about.
UFO will appear. Right. So we tried that, right? You know,
Right.
we thought we could be as cool as Andrea Perrin, and we pointed, and like 3 times there would be a light that would appear. So we were like, okay.
Really?
And I know that we have like a very spiritual connection, my youngest and I. So I know that we can like do things together, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but
You need to
then
get inside their head.
then it got scary because then he's like, Stina, he's looking, and I'm like, what are you doing, bud? He's like, do you see that guy on top of the house? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Connection's broken. Let's leave.
No more doing that. No more.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him, like, you know, move over a little bit, see if it's maybe a tree. So he's like moving like 6 feet to the right, then he moves 6 feet to the left, and he's like, No, it's definitely a man.
I'd be like, man, you
Like-
shut up, man. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, you got that off of it was Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which was the documentary that
Yeah.
Dr. Greer was.
Yeah.
Oh,
put out,
very.
yeah.
Hey, guess what
Yeah.
Mike and I are going to do tomorrow night while we're driving? Because
Are you gonna try to make UFOs?
he's probably
Mike
going,
know?
hell no, we're not doing that.
Do it.
Yeah, one of our little potty breaks, we're gonna give that a
Right.
shot. That's gonna be
Cool.
super cool. Oh, we should even record it. Yes,
Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
record it too.
And then,
Yeah.
so the TikTok algorithms, I've been stuck on UFOs and aliens for weeks now. And it's just wild to me because I keep seeing these videos of people who are like trying to film UFOs. They're trying to do that. They're trying to like conjure them up in the skies or whatever.
Right.
And the amount of videos I've seen where people will be out there trying to film and then they will see something on their roof. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we might have actually done a thing that night.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you watch the documentary, the footage that they've caught, or it's not really UFOs.
Right.
It's literal like life, like
Yeah.
a life form appearing
Yeah.
like behind them or between
Yeah.
them. Like, and it's like a glowing light, but you can see the outline of whatever.
And it'll be just like she described, like with the
Yeah.
grill marks of the heat
Right.
in the
Yeah.
air, and you'll just like see
Really?
two outlines of people, or like people shaped things on
Oh,
the
you're
roof
so
of a
doing
house.
that. We are so doing that, Michael.
It's
If you hear me, we're
crazy.
doing that tomorrow night. That's gonna be so cool. Oh my god.
That sounds like
Well, so then
awful.
how do you- What's that?
He doesn't like aliens either.
Dude, you're in the wrong field.
I know, right? Yeah.
I keep trying to tell these guys, they won't let me leave.
No, it's his hair.
So
We gotta
cool.
keep him.
We need you around.
He's got good hair, so we keep him around.
Oh my god.
I'm just joking,
Yeah.
but I think I'm more like, I know they're out there.
Yeah.
I don't think, and the same with Bigfoot. I don't think they want to be found. They'll tell us when
That's
they want to be found.
He would, yeah.
Stop looking for them.
And
Unless
that,
Bigfoot is also an alien. Always waiting.
Or
Yeah.
able to
Right.
hop through the planes.
right.
Because
Right.
if I can
Yeah.
astral project and be somewhere else, why can't they?
That Dr. Greer just said that in
Yeah,
his,
yeah.
he did like this huge press release, which was mind blowing if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Mm-mm.
But he was saying that most UFO and alien sightings are not actually like from other areas. They're from Earth, just a different dimension. And that's why they can like disappear,
Yep.
because they're just going back to their dimension. It's not
Yeah.
anything.
That's kind of the way I lean, and that's why it would explain too that we can find certain things from time to time.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh yeah, see that's
Thanks,
that's
Mike.
all Mike's territory. Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
what he's talking about with that stuff for sure. Yeah, tactical Bigfoot research, you guys. But yeah, no, that's why not? Like that's why you would still find a
Right.
footprint here or there. That's why you would find right different things, but and especially why you wouldn't. But I don't disagree necessarily with the fact that if they don't want to be found or seen, they're not going to either.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like us.
Well,
Well,
that's the thing. It's like, why haven't we found one? If they have
Mhm.
a mind that's almost as evolved as ours, they would.
How do we
they
know
would
that?
adapt. They would.
We don't know that.
We don't. I'm just.
Well, that's a
I'm,
good point.
I'm theorizing.
That
Yeah.
their minds are okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
would know how to hide. I mean, we know how to camouflage ourselves so that we can't be seen. I mean,
Right.
why wouldn't they be able to do the same thing? I
Right.
know,
And-
yeah, they're 9 feet tall and several hundred pounds, but still,
And-
they know their territory.
And whether they're
Right.
whether they're traveling from another planet or another dimension, obviously they're smart enough to figure that shit out. So
Right.
obviously their minds are developed.
Yep.
Obviously, they're not.
Yeah.
Because they keep coming back here.
Well, yeah. Seriously.
Well, we had Dustin Pari on. That was a couple years ago now. He actually had a pretty interesting theory. What if, like, at that point in time, it was a time slip, and we're actually seeing ourselves, like, before we evolved? Like, what,
I
you know,
love Dustin.
Since
Yeah.
we evolved from the ape,
Mm-hmm.
why, like that point in time? Time is a dimension, sort of. In
Uh-huh.
theory.
Okay.
That does
So
that
he-
point in
yeah.
time?
So like Bigfoot is basically just humans, but like a million years ago. And aliens, like if we continue to evolve, like we're not going to need hair anymore because now we have clothes and things that keep us warm. So this is unnecessary. So like eventually we would have both not have hair.
Excuse me.
Not you, Heisenberg. You're good. Way down the line.
Okay.
But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
But it's true, I love the way his mind works. Love
Yeah.
it. I love talking to him. He is just the most down to earth. And the way, like the wheels in his head when they're turning, and the things that he comes out with, and he's just such a genuine person.
Yeah.
Like truly. Actually, we were like literally right kitty corner next to each other. Like we shared a space
nice.
at Potographs last year, and it was just so nice. Like he doesn't care. He's just so kind to everybody.
He's super cool. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I gave him a high life, and it was like we were best friends.
Yeah.
Wait, you gave him a what? What'd you give him?
Miller High Life.
A Miller. High
Miller.
Life.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's the champagne of beers. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't drink beer, but yes, I know. When you said High Life, I thought maybe it was like an energy
Well,
drink or something. I was
it
like,
was just
what?
so weird because it's like my beer of choice if I'm going to partake in adult beverage, and it was a day out, like I actually got to like enjoy his lecture. Like we all picked something that we wanted to do, and I went and sat and watched his lecture, and like he started out with this story about how he just like wanted a high life so bad, and he came off the airplane in Wisconsin, I think, and the Golden Girl was standing right there as a big high life thing. And he's like, oh. He's like, my travels have brought me to where I needed to be.
There you go.
So later on, I'm like, hey buddy, I gave him the hookup, and he's like, oh dude, thanks, Goose, it's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
What do you mean we all got to go do something that we wanted to do?
You don't want to do anything. That's not our fault. You didn't want to sit there at the table either.
You got to go outside and smoke an extra cigarette. It was fine.
Bullshit. I always go out with you guys.
Oh my gosh.
The other thing that guy said that really bothered me, which I think is what started my whole UFO rabbit hole, was he was talking about how they will come in peace. Like when they decide that they want to be seen, they'll come in peace. And, all these people are questioning it. Like, no, we need to be defensive. We need to get ready. We need to, whatever. We don't know that they come in peace. And he's like, listen, if they wanted us dead, we'd be dead already. And I'm like, okay, that's a valid point. That's a super valid point.
Yeah. You've watched War of the Worlds. They're already here. They're just hiding underground until it's time.
That's true.
I'm going to live in my own African bubble. There is no such thing as aliens, Bigfoot. There are ghosts, but none of those other guys.
Yeah. Nothing else. No chupacabras.
Oh my God.
No
Who's having the pain in their neck and their head? Who's having the issue back here?
Denise is a pain in my neck, but that's all right.
Ironically,
is it you?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? You?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It hit me like a ton of bricks, like right here at the base of my skull, and it went right down my neck, and it was sharp, and it just like tensed all my muscles up.
I knew it. I saw I saw it coming because you're just like, oh, I'm like, here it comes.
Yeah.
I get these migraines that have started coming back again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's called pseudotumor cerebri.
Wait, what is it called?
It's called pseudotumor cerebri, which means not a brain tumor or like fake brain tumor.
I think I had a patient that had that on their health history not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I looked at that word and went, what?
Yeah. There's a lot of doctors that don't even understand what it is, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome to my life. Yeah. So there's a valve in the back of your neck, and if I get too tense or something, or if I get a massage, or if I turn around and I'm looking at the kids in the car too long, then this valve like shuts off the spinal fluid that's going into cushion my brain, and then I will not be able to see, and I get a really bad headache.
Oh my God, you aren't kidding.
So yeah, it starts in my neck and then it goes up to my head, and I
so
haven't.
That's called being an empath. For those of you who are not aware of what just happened to me, that's called being an empath.
Yeah.
I can feel physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah.
What other people feel, what spirit wants me to feel. It's another way for them to communicate with me. But yeah, it can just come out of nowhere and just
That's something that I feel like people they don't translate it well. when they have experiences when they're investigating and they will get something that happens and they're like, oh, a spirit's attacking me. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
maybe they're
That's
just telling you.
exactly. Or you're just picking up on it. They're not doing it on purpose. You're picking up on
Right.
their energy or what happened to them.
Right.
And that's another good reason why eventually, like if you're at that point, you need to mentor with somebody who does know better to get that validation to learn, because you're absolutely 100% right on that. It goes up in here. Oh my God. Is it in here?
It's everywhere, girl.
Oh my
God. Welcome to my life.
I thought it was done, and then all of a sudden it started getting real tense right here. Oh my God.
Excedrin tension headache is the only thing that makes it go away. If you need
you need more Reiki, girl. Get some more Reiki.
Yeah. I can't even get medical grade massages. Like nothing will help.
Yeah, I start hurting like right here.
Have you tried acupuncture?
No.
You should try acupuncture. I won't do it because I'm afraid of the needles.
Yeah.
Because I got tested for carpal tunnel one time and I was like, heck no, because it really hurt.
Oh,
People
that's
say
like
it's
hell.
Not like that. Yeah. People say it's not like that. Like, lots of people go for it, and it's helped a lot of different issues that you wouldn't have thought. My aunt had a problem with the top of her foot when she used to clean part-time. And it got worse and worse and worse. And she's like, but I didn't hurt it. I didn't do anything to it. And it was at the curve on the top. And so she went for acupuncture, and it was just in this spot where there's no injury, and it took it away. She went for like 1 or 2 sessions and it was gone. It never came back.
Nice.
You really should give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah. Works miracles.
But I'm afraid of needles too. I've been told the same thing.
But those ones are different.
They are different. I'm not afraid of needles. Because I had the bad experience with the carpal tunnel thing, because they just take this long ass thin needle and they
horrible.
Go, look, it's like they're playing darts. And I was like ready to punch the doctor in the face. I was like, oh my God. And then it stays in your muscle. And I just felt this pain all up my arm, and he does it again. I only let him do half, and I was done. I got off the table. I'm like, screw you, I'm out of here.
No, I went through all that last year, and they had to do both. They had to do both arms, and they did like that electroshock thing where they like put it in like your nerve, and you just like start twitching, and like you feel it. It's just like, oh. He's like, yeah, you have, I would call severe carpal tunnel in both hands. Yeah. So I had the surgery both. I did them both at the same time. I was handless for like a week. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Nobody ever does it at the same time. Oh my God, how'd you function?
It wasn't. I was back to normal in like 3 days. Well,
really?
Back to normal and is like the mitts were off and I could like do light stuff.
Okay.
But like too early, I tried to like take a jar off, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Like I screamed. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I was trying to get the mayonnaise jar off, and it was
opening a jar."
Yeah. She's like, "Why did you just ask me?"
I got a better idea.
About it though.
Open a mayonnaise jar.
What's it?
There's no need to open a mayonnaise jar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Heisenberg also doesn't like cold cuts or any other food. Or
we have this discussion with all of our guests.
Heisenberg, what do you like?
Pizza.
Talk to me.
Warm Pepsi.
Pizza.
But he won't eat reheated pizza.
No, I won't eat reheated pizza.
He'll throw it out.
Yeah.
He'll throw it out. Welcome to our life, Kristie.
Pizza and cheeseburgers are my go-to after I read or I work. That's what I crave every time. Yep. Every time.
Yeah, I've noticed that like I've worked with different mediums and they all like will bring like certain like foods with them. Like one of them, she always brought like Panera, I can't remember what sandwich it was, but it's like a specific sandwich from Panera. Like she had to have like at least 2 of them on hand. She would eat them after.
Thing.
Well,
no, I'm just saying it's something that I've observed.
Well, but it's actually more than a comfort thing. It's an energy thing. Because quite honestly, this is energy work and it can drain you. So like I can be hungry enough after doing a party or an event to eat like a Thanksgiving dinner, or I could have no appetite at all. Right. So, but it drains you, and you're expelling this energy and you need to replenish it. But it's funny because you're right. Like when we go on investigations, like, you bring snacks or whatever, how you bring your stuff with you. I always bring, and I don't know, he just posted, so he probably posted. There you go. Yeah. Twizzlers. Come on. There was more than just Twizzlers. He's the gummy bear guy. I don't like gummy bears. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Hot tamales, chips, different things like that. All the stuff I'm not supposed to have, but like the different, Mike and Ike's are another one. Like I need to be able to pick because I'm a texture person. So like the jelly stuff, even when they're kind of stale.
Yeah.
I like plain. What?
He does like plane crashes. He watches
I don't like plane crashes. I'm interested in them.
he watches the air disaster videos all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
He doesn't like horror movies that are fiction,
Right. He
but
likes
Right.
he
real.
enjoys watching
Yeah.
or
Gotcha.
learning about people who've actually died and
But you know
plummeted to
what?
their
If
death.
a plane
Okay.
was crashing and there was no pilot, I would trust Heisenberg to fly a plane.
Kate tells me that all the time.
I would.
You know how to fly a plane? That's pretty cool.
He does the flight simulators all the time. And he knows what not to do from watching all the air disaster videos.
Sometimes he plays with his flight,
You would be the
his flight
best bet
simulator
then.
while the show is on.
Yeah. True story. Or while we're at an event.
At an event, I've done it, okay? Never during the show.
Oh, that's great. I don't do that, guys. What are you talking
Right?
about?
As he's like got his
Oh my
phone like
God.
this right in front of him.
Yeah, because that was going to be our next question. What is your favorite go-to snack? Well, you already answered that one.
I did. So
And
yeah.
Heisenberg has a super important question for you.
Yes.
Ooh.
Do you have anything you'd like to let everybody know about and plug?
Ooh. Well, let's see. No.
I can respect that.
Big event that I'm doing right now is Potographs and merch. Locally, I will be, for anybody who's in the Buffalo, Niagara area, in the fall, I will be at one of the wineries in Lewiston, and I will be doing a gallery there. But like I said, I kept this year real light because of, the wedding and everything, and my focus is on all of that. But we are going to, we're going to do the investigation, the quick turnaround this weekend, and not a whole lot going on right now. You never know though; things could change. Something could come up. But the next big event is going to be with you guys back in Ann Arbor. So that's where, I'll be. Oh shoot, Mike just posted something that I forgot. I probably forgot something. Oh, so Caledonia might not be happening, but you wouldn't know that because Teddy and I only just talked about that today. So that might not be happening. So that would be.
We don't want any misinformation here.
I know.
Is it or isn't it? Come on, Kristie.
So I'm supposed to do a gallery in Caledonia. I don't know if that's going to happen right now. We're going to see. Yeah, some things change, so we have to wait. We may have to reschedule that. But
One thing I want to make sure we actually get into too before we sign off here in a few minutes. Tell us about your show. Where's my sage?
Okay, so our show.
Like that's what you're supposed to plug. Like anything you have. Your social media.
Let me help you along with this, Kristie. We'll get through it.
Mike's probably like, what the hell? I know. No. So
we got her, Mike. We got her.
Sorry. No, so the cool thing that we do is our show is called Where's My Sage? A Taste of the Universe. And basically, it was a mix of sage for protection. Sage is a spice, the taste of the spice of life. So we combine that. And our show is about just that, a taste of life, a taste of all different things. If you talk to Mike and you hear him ever talk or lecture about Bigfoot, you'll hear him say, if nothing else, chasing Bigfoot or investigating Bigfoot is at most, or at very least, it gets kids off the couch. It gives you something positive to do. It gets them out in nature. It's the same idea. We want to expand your minds. We want to open up doors. We want to talk about things that people don't always understand.
Right. If nothing else, you're camping.
Yeah.
What's that?
If nothing else, you're going camping. Like there's
exactly. It's family time. It's going back to all the values. It's expanding our minds in a way that we have shut down. And that we desperately need to get back to. But because all of this is so open now and it is in such a big part of all of our lives and in so many ways, it's important that people do understand, somebody may think witches are bad. Well, no, witches aren't bad. You can bastardize anything. You can bastardize the Catholic religion too. Like you need to hear different perspectives. You need to hear all that. So that's what we try to do. And I do readings. So we do reading shows as well. Sometimes we just BS. Sometimes we just banter and we're just ourselves and we're pretty messed up. So, sometimes we have guests with specific, goals and things on. We were doing it every single week. It's gotten tougher this year doing it every single week. So just keep an eye. We have a page, Where's My Sage, on Facebook. You can also find me on Facebook, Kristie London, Medium Reiki Master. I also have a website, blueeyedempath.com. You can go there too. I do events. I do fundraisers. I do all sorts of things, private parties, private readings. Like I said, the
That's
virtual
cool.
Reiki. So yeah, we do a lot, and hopefully we'll be doing a little more investigation, live investigations, because we were doing a lot of that too, but
Right.
hopefully we're going to start picking up on that again too.
Yeah. We can appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I've been having a hard time
Mhm.
scheduling all what I have going on with. I started off the year. I'm like, yeah, it's the year to do more. We're gonna go do this and do that.
Right.
It's like, now I'm like banking all my PTO because as everybody knows, I'm having the weight loss surgery probably by the end of the year. So like, and I'm already like blowing PTO, going to like so many pre-appointments, like testing and all this, like it's like every week. I made that post. Yeah, I made that post earlier. I'm spending more time on my chart scheduling appointments than I am like on social media. So it's like, and that wasn't like a joke. That was like for real. Like literally, I'm like stopping the van at work to call, and I forgot a disappointment. I got to call in and schedule this.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy. So hopefully next year is better for all of us, and like just so we could get more of what we want to do done.
Right.
And
I mean, I do have a couple of things in the works. Yeah, definitely call Mike. He will drive. He's not lying. He'll tell me, oh yeah, me and so-and-so are going out Bigfoot tonight, or we're going to go out and do some research. And then all of a sudden he'll message me every so often. Hey, what do you think about this? Or give me what you're getting in this moment. So I'll kind of help from a distance sometimes. But before I know it, he'll be like, yeah, we're about 3.5, 4 hours away from home. We were just going to stay here. And then we kind of wandered. Or if I tell them something and they follow something, then they're really taking off. So I'm like, okay, well, so he really will meet you wherever. But so I have a few things in the works that I can't talk about yet though either. So hopefully that all.
Oh yeah.
We get that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have this horrible like knack of like having guests on like when I know they're about to release something, but I have them on too soon and they can't talk about anything. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're just going to do our normal bullshit show and talk about food and what.
I keep trying to get them to tell us stuff, but they never do.
Yeah.
What?
So I keep trying to just get them to tell us stuff, but they never do.
We just sneak the question in like real sneaky, like, what's your favorite snack? What's coming up that you don't know about?
Right.
Okay, you know what? Let me tell you a story about a guy who wanted to chase a moose. Do we have time for that?
Sure, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went and did some investigation a couple of years ago. We went up to like Lake Placid and we were in that area doing some stuff.
Cool.
And before we left, Mike was on. He made it very clear because we were going to be in the area. He wanted to find a moose. So the one day we were there, we had some downtime. And it didn't work out. So we're like, okay, on the way home, he's like, I got this park, we'll go through it. It'll be great. Blah, blah, blah. I got to find my moose. I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted from like the 4 days of doing whatever we were doing. And he drove and I still had my car at his house. So that meant after we got home to his house, I had to drive an hour and a half back to my house. So I'm like done, like dinner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, okay, we're just going to go. And then we'll go right from there, right? Yeah, you got that right, buddy. So what does he do? He takes us through this park, this state park, 15 miles an hour. 15. And if anybody has ever driven with Mike, he drives like a grandma to begin with. Okay. So Mr. Straight and Narrow on the road. Okay. So 15 miles an hour. Get lost. He's like, I didn't realize it was this big. Wait a second. This doesn't make sense. That's a very popular Mike term or Mike statement. Wait, this doesn't make sense. So before we know it, Tom, right?
Yeah.
The entire TomTom world crashes that day.
Oh no.
Neither of us have signal on our cell phones in this park. We have no GPS at this point because the whole TomTom corporation, for whatever reason, crashed. Nobody has any GPS ever anywhere in the US. I don't know, something like that, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
So here we are. And the whole time we're going through, ask me what we saw. 3.5 hours to go through this park.
No moose.
At 15 miles an hour in 80-something degree weather. Did we see a moose?
No.
Did we? No, we didn't see a moose. Did we see a squirrel? I think we saw one. I think we even may have seen a bunny rabbit, but I think it was just some leaves that were being blown around.
Yeah.
I was so bad. That was a fun phone call home.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. You know how I said I was going to be home at like 6? Yeah. It's going to be like 9 now or 10 now because Mike got us stuck in the Adirondacks.
You don't want to mess with moose, man.
The whole time I was like,
those guys are evil.
I'm sorry.
Well,
We didn't see deer. We did.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It was torture. Torture. We were
Yeah.
both crabby. We were both tired. We were both
Yeah.
moody. I was ready to kill him. I was lucky, and I couldn't even call home right away because I didn't have cell service. So I had to wait
Right.
until almost 3 hours in because we were three something hours behind schedule because we
geez.
had to go find this move through this one
Yeah.
park before we left. So it was
Gosh.
great.
Real
That's
quick,
a
we
joke,
tried
guys.
bear. We tried scouting for bear when we had a week in Gatlinburg with family because right there by the Smoky Mountains, right by the park.
Yeah.
Nothing the whole week, and it was supposed to be the big week for bears. Like that's when they start coming out of their
Really?
dens. It's spring. Yeah, nothing. Literally the day I got home, there's videos posted all over TikTok from people in Gatlinburg that these like
Of
a whole
course
family
there
of bears
is.
just walking down Main Street, just
Oh,
like
jeez.
sniffing at people's food. Like we're going to like into the Smoky Mountains. We're like
Right.
looking everywhere we could, and
No,
the next day,
not a,
whole family of them just walked down like, "Hey, give me a corn
was
dog."
that right?
I'm like,
Right.
like I love bears. Like they're my totem. Like I love
Oh,
bears,
yeah?
and I just wanted to see like one in nature.
Black
And,
bears.
like it's so bad. Like I don't like my buddies go hunting bear every year. Like you want to go? I'm like, no, I don't
Yeah.
hunt bear. I won't do that. Everything else, yes, but bear, no.
Black bear,
But yeah,
right?
black bear. Yeah.
Oh, how did I know that?
Wait, are you psychic?
No.
Wow,
Right?
that's next show. We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
But it is that unfortunate time where we have to end. That was a quick 2 hours.
I really
Yeah.
was. I had
Yeah.
so much fun. Thank you for having
Good.
me on.
Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course.
I love you guys.
It's been a long
You're
time
awesome.
coming. I'm glad we finally got you on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
So everybody, thank you to Kristie for coming on and sharing her stories and getting to know her much better. Cannot wait to see
Thank
you
you.
in Michigan next
You
next
know,
March for
looking forward to
Pottergrass
it.
Fair Fest.
Yes.
Yep. Mike,
Can't
good to
wait.
get to know you. Call
Yeah.
me, buddy, about the Bigfoot thing.
Oh, there. Yeah, that's all he right there. You
Yeah.
got a partner right there. Yep.
Cool. So that's it for tonight, Crypto Heads. We will spook you later. You guys have a good weekend. D, take
And
us
don't
out.
forget, don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. And we mean it. We really do.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
seriously.
We love you. You guys have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.